instant payments in 2017 when we started was there in a few places. We were lucky, as Capsys, we were lucky enough because we were already working on instant payments project internationally before Hungary started to implement. So we were one of the few companies in Hungary who already knew about instant payments and what it takes. And it's not that simple. It's a complicated thing to implement. Of course, there are vendors, but you don't just want to rely on your vendors. So one of the big challenges was having the expertise in the market. Of course, we have the Banking Association organize the banks, so we had discussions and exchanges of information with the central bank and Giro. Giro is a central infrastructure in Hungary. So the banks could use each other's expertise. The other big challenge from a technical perspective from the banks is that usually the core banking systems are relatively old, meaning some of them are even 30 years old, and they are not prepared, and they were not created in the age when you have to be available 24/7 and you have to be quick. And for that reason, most of the banks in Hungary had to rearrange their IT architecture. They had to redesign the architecture.
So they had actually a separate project internally apart from the project where they participated within the country limits.
And another big challenge is that the regulation, they expect the regulation. What I see with countries, with the banks in Hungary and in the region, is that once they learn that there will be a regulation, then they say, okay, I'm going to wait for the regulation because the regulation is going to tell me what to do. Unfortunately, it's not true. The regulation will tell them how to connect to the central infrastructure and how to process, what are the rules, the reliabilities. It's not going to tell them how to do it internally. I would say that 80% of the project is internally in the bank, is the processing internally from a technical perspective, and also also from an operational perspective. I usually suggest the banks that if they look at instant payments, they could start with on-us payments, intra-bank payments. They don't need the central infrastructure actually to implement instant payments because it is the same thing internally. So they should, or they could start with rearranging preparing themselves for instant payments. Unfortunately, we don't really get through because they usually wait for the regulation. And if they wait for the regulation, when the pistol is already shot, then they have a very short time, and then they, of course, they are always late. They have the procurement procedures, etc. So these are the